In this video series, we are pleased to introduce some of the writings of Dion Fortune to you. This video is about the 6th chapter, Working Out Karma, from Practical Occultism in Daily Life, in which Dion Fortune explains what karma is and how it arises. She also describes how our karma affects our life and how we can solve it. Brotherhood of the Eternal Light, Teaching the Western Mysteries. Working Out Karma. Practical Occultism in Daily Life. Chapter 6. The word karma is borrowed from the Eastern tradition, but it is so widely used that it has become incorporated in the English language. The term used in the Western tradition to describe the same influence is destiny, but the Eastern word being more familiar, we will adhere to it in these pages. Karma, or destiny, is the influence of past lives as it affects our present life. It shows itself in two ways, in environment and in character. Our environmental karma determines the circumstances into which we shall be born and the congenital dispositions of the body with which we are born. For the body is just as much the environment of the soul as the home is the environment of the body. Temperament is not the same thing as character, for temperament is determined by the ray influence prevailing in the cosmic atmosphere at the time when the divine spark, which is the nucleus of the soul, began to be separated out from the formless mass of the life wave. Fundamental temperament is constant throughout the whole evolution of the divine spark. But character changes with every incarnation, and even in the course of an incarnation as experience works upon the personality. Character, in fact, may be defined as temperament modified by experience. We come into incarnation then with a particular type of basic temperament which cannot be altered, but only developed and harmonized. In other words, we can be a good specimen or a poor specimen of our type, but one cannot make fish of flesh. The fundamental character of the personality in each incarnation is the result of the bias that the basic temperament has acquired in the course of its experiences in previous lives. The greater part of karma works out by means of character, not by means of drastic happenings which are specially dealt to us out of the blue, as it were. If we observe the lives of others closely, we shall be able to trace this, though we may not see it so clearly in our own lives, which come too near our hearts for us to be able to see them in impartial perspective. Allowing for the influence of the environment into which we are born and our congenital health, character exercises the predominant selective influence in determining the course of our lives. According to our character, do we react to conditions we choose when the choice is offered us? We dominate or submit, direct or are driven. To either alternative of a pair of alternatives, there hangs a long train of consequences. It will be seen, therefore, that the course of our lives is continually being biased in the same direction by our temperament and character. Let me illustrate this by an example. A person may be of the dynamic, power-loving, ruling type. This is his basic temperament, determined by the ray influence that prevailed when his soul started off in its evolutionary journey. In this incarnation, however, there is a streak of laziness in him. In consequence of this, he will be continually failing to grasp opportunity, either because he is disinclined to exert himself when opportunity comes along, or because he has failed to prepare himself to take advantage of it. Such a man's life will be a tragic record of disappointments, capacities that never had their opportunity to display themselves, lack of recognition and appreciation. His misfortunes may truly be said to be due to karmic causes, and these will undoubtedly show in the horoscope. But shall we say that it is circumstances which have dealt his karma to that man, Or shall we say that it is his character that has dealt it to him? The following test will show which it is. If he changes his character, a change in his karma will follow. If he becomes diligent instead of slothful, the next opportunity that comes along will not be missed. And so his luck will turn. We do not appreciate the extent to which character deals out karma because it does so subtly. It is the little foxes that get the opportunity to spoil the vines. Faults of character are not the only little foxes we have to reckon with. Judgment plays an even more important part in determining the course of our fate. For it is possible to find a man with a very faulty character who has excellent judgment, and he will flourish like a green bay tree. Faulty judgment, however, rests at bottom on faults of character. There are errors of judgment which are due to impulsiveness, for we do not take sufficient trouble to ascertain the facts and think things out. Other errors are due to our dislike of facing unpleasant facts, and so leaving them out of our calculations. Vanity may lead us to overestimate our own capacities and underestimate the forces arrayed against us. Lack of sympathy and imagination may cause us to fail to realize the kind of reaction we shall stir up in others by the things we do and the way we do them. Laziness may lead to shirking and get caught out. Carelessness to lack of attention to detail. Cruelty and unscrupulousness may array all sorts of resentments against us so that folk go out of their way to do us an ill turn. All these things are causes which we have set going with our own hands, but the results appear to come to us out of our environment, and yet they are simply due to the way in which our environment is reacting to us, which is a thing we generally leave out of our own calculations when distributing the blame for the untoward occurrences that beset us. A woman, for instance, complains, and not without reason, of her bad husband, but there must have been something unworthy in her to have been attracted by an unworthy mate. If people prefer pinchbeck gold to honest copper, they must not be surprised if the world breaks their false coin in half and throws the pieces back at them. Let us accept as our basic fact that 90% of karma comes to us by means of the reactions our environment makes to our way of dealing with it. When we set out to work off our karma, it is character wholly and solely that we work upon. If we can change our character, we can change our karma. For the selective bias will then alter its direction and environment will react to us differently. The bias of a character is due to what is left over after the different influences in the last life have canceled each other out in purgatory. Our good intention will weigh in the balance against our broken resolution. Our self-indulgences will detract from our capacities. Our struggles with our weaknesses will tell in the scales against the influence of those weaknesses, and these will have less power over us when we come into incarnation again. What is left over after this purgatorial process is completed gives us our bias in our next incarnation. The aim of evolution is to develop perfect specimens of each type. We are not expected to change our type, but to harmonize it. One man may be the perfected administrator, another the perfected artist, another the perfected priest, but it is unwise to ask your artist to be an administrator, or your administrator to be a priest, for then we get princes of the church who serve the prince of this world. Whatever is good in us is due to the basic temperament expressing itself in harmonized balance. Whatever is bad is due to a bias of character. Our good karma is given us through our temperament, which is aligned to its own type of cosmic force. Our evil karma comes to us through a tangle of forces setting up conflict when we are out of the alignment with cosmic force. Therefore, it is always unsatisfactory to allow anyone else to determine our ideals for us, for they are liable to drive square pegs into round holes. We have got to feel our way towards righteousness by means of wisdom. There is no quality which is a virtue in itself. We might as well say that because a teaspoon of a certain medicine did us good, a teacupful will do us more good. This does not necessarily follow, as we can easily prove for ourselves. Patience and meekness enhance the vices of the coward. Courage and energy render more dangerous the vices of the bully. Even love can be misplaced and overdone, and degenerate into emotional self-indulgence and silliness. In view of all this, what can we do to work out our karma from the practical and immediate standpoint? If our evil karma is due to a bias of character towards one side, it follows that if we can correct that bias, we shall correct that karma. A bias can be corrected, firstly, by steadily neutralizing it and building up the opposite qualities by means of meditation, and secondly, by altering our attitudes towards life by the same means, and bringing ourselves into line with the cosmic forces of our ray instead of getting athwart them and being swirled into eddy and backwash by contending forces. Violet Mary Firth, also known as Dion Fortune, was an important British occultist, ceremonial magician, and author. The Brotherhood of the Eternal Light is in direct lineage with the tradition of Dion Fortune and recognizes her as a spiritual ancestor. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the comments. We will create a video to answer your questions after this video series. Would you be interested in us commenting on the writings of Dion Fortune and explaining in more detail her teachings in spiritual philosophy? If so, let us know in the comments. Visit our free online course on Western mysteries and Kabbalah or our live events on these topics. And if you haven't already done so, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you soon in our next video.